Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Mad Science Lab on the Fantasy Football Universe. I am Aaron St. Dennis. Follow me everywhere at FF Mad Scientist, backed by popular demand with his second team of the series, SC Romero at the PPR show. He is here to do the Denver Broncos. He hit it out of the park last one with the Houston Texans. We'll see this one. Probably not, as many exciting players, but there is some mystery and possibly some value here. So I guess we're good to go with it, SC. Good to talk Broncos.
Yeah, man. I mean, you hit it on the money, though. Not really exciting players, but the mystery makes it exciting, right? Who's coming in hot when it comes to quarterback, the run? I mean, every position here is up for grabs, really. So it's like that. This is really an exciting team when you think about it from fantasy perspective, because you can literally have any of these guys at the end of the draft, and it's like, yo, if you hit and you grab one of them, it'll be money. So.
I know why. I just realized it now looking through the roster. I know why you volunteered to do this team. This reads like the senior version of the Oregon Ducks. So
there you go.
I'm sure that had something to do with it. So let's get into it. A new look QB room here. Good God, we've got the rookie Bo Nix out of Oregon, Jared Stidham, the journeyman, and Zach Wilson, the bust, I guess is what we'll call it. I'm assuming Stidham and Zach Wilson are off of pretty much everyone's board. I've got some Bo Nix shares. I like his rushing upside, and I like that he's going pretty late because, this is an ugly situation, and I love pairing him with Troy Franklin, who I also think is being undervalued. So I have a surprising amount of Bo Nix, Troy Franklin shares. What are your thoughts here on Bo Nix?
Yeah, I agree. I think people underestimate his rushing. I think that was a huge part in just the Oregon offense and how they ran. So we'll see what Sean Payton could do. But I think if Sean Payton utilizes Bo Nix skill sets, he can get the ball out quickly. So get his wide receivers in some short intermediate routes to make it happen. Zach Wilson, I guess, has been doing a little bit of camp though. So I'm not necessarily, if you're in deeper leagues, I mean, go get him. The deeper leagues, there's like, what's the point of waiver wire, right? So if you're in deeper leagues, I mean, even Stidham, just because we don't know what it is. Bo Nix was the QB 6 off the board, at pick 12. But it's like we don't know exactly what's going to happen in this quarterback room. We want to say Bo Nix because they took him first. Zach Wilson was a first round pick, a higher first round pick in years past, and they traded to go get him, right? So you just don't know, So in regards if you have Bo Nix or not, especially in super flex deep leagues where you have 20, 25 bench spots maybe or whatever it may be, I would go get him if he's there, or trade for him because you could possibly buy him low and he could end up being the QB1 for this team at the end of the season. So.
You know what the scariest thing you said is out of all of that, and I completely forgot till you said it. He went off the board as QB 6. 12th overall. And then it dawned on me, I'm like, that doesn't add up. And I'm like, oh shit, right. There were 6 QBs in the top 12 picks. Yeah. That's utterly horrifying. But go ahead.
No, I will say the thing that hesitates me, I forgot who it was. It was probably like Sal or something, on X. But notoriously, your QB5, QB6s don't hit. And granted, we haven't seen a 6 round in something on the past 10 years. We haven't seen 5 QBs going in the first round. I think the most we see, or 6 QBs, most we've seen is 5 in the past 10 years. And it's with him just being that QB6. I know Broncos traded for that, to get that. I love it because he's from Oregon, right? But being real, it's like I just don't know what it is especially because of his age. If they don't hit now with him, they can go ahead and replace him in 2 years because in that time he's 26, 27 if he's not hitting right away. It's not someone where they're like, we know we got to build on. It's not a 21, 22-year-old prospect coming in or anything like that. This is an older quarterback. So, he may have that one season upside, and then they could end up still with the top 10 pick, top 5 pick, and then they get a quarterback again, maybe. We don't know, but we've seen crazier stuff happen in the NFL. So that's the concerning thing when it comes to Bo Nix for me.
I think this quarterback group this year is going to serve kind of as a control group, for future, I guess, projections. Because I know exactly what you said, oh, well, it's typically only the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in each draft class that really hit. But then, this is the first time where QB6 is, pretty much QB5 was a top 10 pick. QB6 is a top 12 pick. So I think we're going to see what matters more, where you go among the QBs or where you go in the overall draft capital. But like I said, Bo Nix, even in rookie drafts, he wasn't really, I guess at the end, he got pushed up to the end of the first round, but if I can get a dart throw there at the end of the first round for a potential starting quarterback, I'll take it in Superflex. Just where he's going, even like in all my Superflex or my redraft leagues, that is, he's going so late where I'm finding him as a third QB and I'm going, screw it. It's got some upside here, so I'll take it. I don't like the leagues where I did avoid him. It's because he's in one of the 2 Buy-Mageddons there in week 11, 14, but other than that, I have a lot of shots at him. And like I said, I paired him late with Franklin a lot.
He went in some Superflex leagues, Dynasty leagues. I have he went between like 202, 204. And you brought up a third round QB or your third quarterback. And Scott Fish, he's my third quarterback, but I also paired him with Franklin. But when it came to the pick, it was like, man, this is a no brainer. This could be a guy that has high QB2 upside, and I got him as my QB3. So.
All right, next up, we have running backs here. Javonte Williams, while he's still in town, he goes off the board first, RB25. Jaleel McLaughlin, then we have the rookie Audric Estime, Samaje Perine, I can never pronounce it, another rookie Blake Watson, and Michael Burton. This one, I've been all over the place. I started loading up on Javonte Williams because I thought he was the value. Then the rumblings seemed to be getting louder that he may be on his way out. So I soured on him a bit. Jaleel McLaughlin, I thought was one of the guys where his ADP got a little too high and I didn't want his cost. I liked Audric Estime. I've taken shots at him wherever I can. Javonte Williams, I'm torn on. Like, I think he's a good value. I don't necessarily know if he's going to be in town, but I don't know if that's bad for his value. If he gets cut or traded, he ends up in Dallas. He's a top 15 running back for me if he's in Dallas. So I think I'm still in on Javonte, but it's a whole lot scarier now.
Yeah. I'm a high risk, high reward kind of guy. So if you had to risk it because you do believe in that trade value, years back, I mentioned this before on some different shows. I traded for Kenyon Drake when the rumors started coming in that he was going to get traded. And I got lucky and he got traded to the Arizona Cardinals and I won that league because of that, and so if you have that kind of high risk where it's like someone's trying to sell him low, go ahead and get him because if that goes, that could be a league winning running back if he goes to Dallas, right? So that could be huge. The running back room in general, I don't really, Blake Watson, I grabbed him late when I can because I know he has upside in the receiving things.
That's the appeal.
Yeah, it's just I think this running back room is going to be too wishy-washy. Messy in the sense of we don't know who's going to get. It's going to be the hot hand kind of deal, So Javonte Williams can have a big day, but then if Jaleel McLaughlin comes in and has 6 or 7 receptions, that could be the bigger day, and then he gets into the next week. So it's going to be really sloppy for you with this running back room in general. Estime is a good target later because if Javonte Williams does lead, then Estime probably becomes that their bulk guy, right? Their big carrier that gets you on the early down work. So is a nice little pick late. But in general, I'm passing on them. To be honest, I'd rather get Zeke later if we're talking about Dallas running backs, just because I believe Zeke's getting bulk of that workload. He may not because he's older, but I'd rather take that shot on him later and get someone else within the Javonte Williams range right now.
Okay, on to something far more important. My own team. You get to pick the receiver for me. Do you want Diggs, Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, George Pickens, Amari Cooper? I need a receiver.
Diggs, Cooper Kupp, George Pickens.
T. Higgins. Sorry, Diggs, Kupp, Pickens, Cooper, and Higgins. Right now I'm kind of between Higgins and Pickens, but Diggs, Kupp, and Cooper are also the old guys.
Is this dynasty or is this a redraft?
Redraft.
Oh, bro, if it's redraft, then I think I'm going Kupp or Diggs in redraft. You can go Pickens, but I just don't. It's in dynasty. You're going the other way with what your guys said. Higgins is nice too. Cooper, man, if he's healthy, I still think he's heavy.
Kupp it is. All right, sorry. That was selfish. We'll get back here. We got the wide receivers who are another interesting group that, once again, I'm all about value. So I find a lot of these guys are available where it gets ugly. So we've got Cortland Sutton going as wide receiver 45. Marvin Mims going as wide receiver 70, unless it's Scott Fishbowl, then he's like wide receiver 9. But
Yeah.
yeah, not that people are overreacting or anything. Troy Franklin, the rookie, going as wide receiver 71. Josh Reynolds over from Detroit. Tim Patrick, who there are rumors he is going to be on the opening day roster, which that's nice to see. He's had some bad luck. Lil Jordan Humphrey from the Saints. Brandon Johnson, Devon Vele, and Philip Dorsett, who seems to be all over the place. I take some shots here at Sutton. I take some shots at Mims, and I take some at Franklin. I love pairing any of these guys with Bo Nix. It's amazing I can get a decent stack this late. But like I said, I'm not really putting my eggs in one basket, because if you told me any of these three was the guy, I wouldn't fight you. If you told me they were all busts, I also wouldn't fight you. But like I said, it's all about value for me, and I've grabbed a few of these guys. How do you think this shakes out among the wide receivers?
Well, I mean, if Knicks is starting, it's gonna be hard to say Franklin's not on the field with him, just because they have that collegiate chemistry, and he helped Franklin become one of the top wide receivers in the nation, going in Oregon. So that chemistry, I think, will speak volume to it. And the thing with Sutton, man, Sutton is that red zone guy, right? He goes out there and gets the touchdowns. Last year, he had what? I think he had a streak of like, let's see here, had a streak of 1, 2, 3, well, 2. In 11 weeks, he put up 9 touchdowns. Only missed two weeks there without a touchdown. So I mean, he could be that bigger target there. So I definitely think he's gonna be on the field too. Mims with the underneath route. I know Mims fits what Sean Payton likes in those receivers. So that's where he definitely could be scary. I know you brought up Scott Fish, for kick returns, so that's a big parcel. But apparently Franklin has gotten some interesting kick return too. But Mims, if he's that slot guy, I think that could do a lot of work for him. Personally, I'm buying Franklin. He was one of my top prospects coming into the draft, so I think he has. I think this as even though they have 2 receivers at the top, I think this is an easier wide receiver room to get to that top than it is. Again, deeper leagues, I like Reynolds because Reynolds just always pops. You just have to know when to play him. And Patrick, last year, I was all over Patrick. He was getting volume. I thought he was going to be great. He's actually one of the sleeper wide receivers. But then he got hurt, and he's also older. So if he was like 2-3 years younger, I'd be still on it. But because he's older, it's like, all right, I kind of question it. Hope he makes the roster, but for fantasy purposes, I'm not out. I'm out of him until he shows me something.
It's weird. It's weird to think that Patrick is only 2 years older than Cortland Sutton. Mm-hmm. I can't believe that, even just looking at it now. But let's finish it off here with the tight ends. There's little to no interest here for me anywhere. Dulcich, once upon a time, was someone who looked intriguing. Troutman, I thought, had a shot coming over from New Orleans. Peyton loves his guy. Lucas Kroll, Nate Adkins. I don't really want any of these guys outside of a dart throw where something's gone horribly wrong for me in a draft. Do you have any interest here?
No, Dulcich, I mean, if we're talking redraft, he's probably on your waivers, and he's someone, if I'm streaming, down the line, he may be a streamer option for me. But yeah, Dynasty's right that I'm not necessarily even buying any of them. I mean, if you can throw a 4th for Dulcich, then go do it, because that's like, it's like at that point, it's basically nothing. So why not if I have that space and some guy's trying to get rid of him? Sure, but I'm not necessarily going after targeting him. Any of these tight ends, really.
I think I'd rather have the 4th. Yeah. All right. Given their current cost, who is a player on this team you're targeting, and who is one you're avoiding?
Current cost, man. We talk Mims may be lower than Franklin right now, just because Franklin's the hot receiver. I think Franklin, he got the less draft capital, so that's personally who I want. But I really think Mims might be less than him, so I would go out there and target Mims when you can, because again, as I mentioned, why I think Franklin could take over is this wide receiver room looks kind of open. Mims could be the guy. Who am I avoiding? Probably Javonte. I was all over him last year too, but again, because the running back room is so messy, I don't necessarily want anything to do with it. If I can get a second for him right now, with knowing how deep the running back class is next year, I would do that. I can also try to trade him away for maybe a Joe Mixon or someone that's a little frowned upon but might produce as well.
I think my avoid is the tight end. My target, I guess, is anyone on this team. I'm avoiding McLaughlin. I think he's gotten too high.
Yeah.
Javonte scares me. I don't mind Nix. I'll take some Javonte. I'll take some Estime. Any of the 3 receivers, really. I think Sutton maybe would be the avoid. Just, I don't know, because he's the most expensive, and I prefer to just take the cheap option here. But
yeah.
alrighty, let's move on and close this out with some schedule predictions. You know the drill. I'll name the game. You say win or loss. Week 1 at Seattle.
Loss at Seattle. They lose.
All right. Week 2, home to the Steelers.
We're going to say Steelers win that too, so loss.
Week 3 at Tampa.
Losing.
Yikes. Week 4 at the Jets.
I'm going to go ahead and say they win the Jets. They're going to beat this one, come out.
Week 5, hosting the Raiders.
Raiders are kind of scaring me right now. I actually think they beat the Raiders too.
Okie dokie. So you got them 2 and 3. Week 6, hosting the Chargers.
I think the Chargers will run all over them. I'm going Chargers.
Week 7 at New Orleans.
This is going to be a paid and revenge game. He's going to go in there and win.
All right. Week 8, hosting Carolina.
This is going to be... Yeah, they got to beat Carolina. They have to.
All right. Week 9 at Baltimore. That's a loss.
Yeah.
Another loss. Week 10 at
Upset
KC.
City. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, they lost.
Yeah, you're sick. I get it. It's a divisional game, but that's sick.
No.
Week 11, hosting the Falcons.
Man, they're going to lose that one too.
All right. Week 12 at Vegas.
They'll lose this one.
All right. Week 13, hosting Cleveland.
Hosting Cleveland? Nah, Cleveland has a good D. They're going to lose that one.
So you have them going into the bye at 4-9. Week 15, hosting the Colts.
Okay, if Anthony Richardson starts, they're doing this. If it's not Anthony Richardson, Broncos come out. But we'll give it to a loss saying Anthony Richardson's there.
It's going to be Richardson. Week 16, at the Chargers.
They'll lose.
17, at Cincy.
They'll lose.
18, home to the Chiefs.
If there was an upset, it'd be final week of the season, right? But they'll lose. But
there is not an upset. So you have them at 4-13, which I think is completely reasonable. It just goes to show you what happens when an analyst does this and it's not his team. You don't end up with a 12-win team. Go figure.
But I will say in this general, this is what I was saying. I had them as a top 4 pick next year. So you're telling me they're going to pass on a top quarterback there? If Bo Nix doesn't do it, this could be like, all right, we're out. We're getting someone new, even though the next 2 quarterbacks are the same age. So maybe not. We'll see.
All right. That concludes the Denver Broncos preview. For the entire Broncos page, head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com and check back tomorrow where we will be back, the 2 of us, with the San Francisco 49ers. Take care, everyone, and have a great night.